I was talking with a client recently who is in a relationship that isn't going very well. He wants to end it, but he's afraid to. He's been in this relationship for a number of years. They have some of their assets kind of intertwined. They're even engaged. But he knows in his heart of hearts that this isn't right. He wants to end it, but he doesn't know how. He doesn't know what he can do to end this relationship in a way that isn't going to cause her pain. He's already out of the relationship. That's the thing. He's already out of it. And he came to me and said, Chuck, what do I do about this? How do I break up with her? And I want to talk about that today on the Nice Guy Show. My name's Chuck Chapman. I'm your host along with Faisal and Ari. And the three of us are certified No More Mr. Nice Guy coaches. We work with guys who consider themselves in the nice guy syndrome, who have the nice guy syndrome. And one of the things that I think nice guys struggle with is they don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to be the one who ends it. And as a result, they stay in relationships being a nice guy rather than stepping up and breaking up. So I wanted to pose this question to you guys. If you were to give someone some advice, one of your clients who came to you and they're like, I'm in this relationship, I'm stuck, I'm terrified of breaking up, and I don't know what to do, what would you tell them? And I'll just start with you, Faisal.
I hate breaking up. It's painful. I've done everything I could possibly think of to avoid the breakup. I've done things where I wanted to really piss her off, make her feel disgusted of me, so she would then instigate the breakup. There was many times in your head you're thinking, I wish something would happen to you or me or something.
The Greyhound bus breakup? Is that what Dr. Glover calls it?
Is that what it is, right?
Hopefully she'll get hit by a Greyhound bus.
Yeah.
Right, it's because I don't want to do the deed. I don't want to hurt her. I don't want her to be upset with me. So I was in a relationship for 6 years, and it was 5 years, 9 months, way too long. I should have broken it off within 3 months. But like a typical nice guy who had no balls, a coward, didn't have the courage muscle, I thought, you know what? If I just stay in this relationship, I'm sure if I just kept at it, my feelings will change, things will change, she'll get better, I'll get better, and I'll be happy. The more I forced myself into this, but what I learned was it's like having a pebble in your shoe. No matter what you do, you're going to walk around with a pebble in your shoe. There's no way you're going to get rid of that. And the only way to do that is to do the most honorable thing. And that's what I told myself after many years of like practicing and learning this, is the most honorable thing to do is to break up. What's the most purposeful thing to do? And it wasn't because at my first relationship, it wasn't because I chose it. It was because I got to breaking point. I just couldn't take it anymore. I made my life a misery, and I made her life a misery because I wasn't doing what was the most honorable thing to do. So I say to guys, dig deep. It's okay. It's okay to hurt people's feelings because you're doing the right thing, and it's not your responsibility. So a lot of guys need to learn that. Okay, she will cry, and that's what I didn't want to feel, was her engulfment of emotions. That terrified me.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, I like this idea about what's the honorable thing to do. Like, how many men do you think ask themselves if they're being honorable? It's kind of, I think it's a word that's probably not talked about enough, but like we could be asking ourselves that question all the time. Are we doing the honorable thing? I often say to men I'm working with who are in this kind of situation where they know they need to break up, like, you know, what's the most compassionate thing to do to your partner, for your partner, because they're so stuck on how much they're going to hurt their partner, how much pain their partner is going to be in, but you're causing them to be. You're doing something hurtful by not being honest with them and not really wanting to be in the relationship. and depriving them of the opportunity to be in a better relationship, depriving yourself of an opportunity to be in a better relationship. So you're really hurting everybody involved uh, by not taking the lead here. So that's another thing with breakups. This is like a big opportunity to take the lead, and I think it could be a game changer, or like a true leveling up for some men if they've never done like an honorable breakup, even if you don't feel good about how you've handled yourself in the relationship. In a lot of ways, you could handle the breakup as well as you can in an honorable way, and you'll never be the same again. Like this could actually be not a big failure, but like your big triumph, because you're really starting to do some things differently and do hard things. So those are just some of the things that I try to emphasize. Like there are some really good things you're doing for yourself and the other person by doing this breakup. And
Yeah,
you're
but
not just
it doesn't feel like in the moment, though, does it? It just feels
Mm.
horrible. Because how many of you guys have had the experience of a breakup that's just gone well? It's like, it was so smooth. And she said, "Oh, you know what, honey? You're so right. We are not suited and compatible. And you know what? I'll cry on my own, but that's okay. It's not. It's hell for most guys, right?" And she puts you
Yeah.
through it.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. We have different, like we all three of us kind of offer a similar kind of idea, whether it's honor or compassion. The thing that I always emphasize is kind of love. I asked this guy, like, do you love her? And he's like, yeah, I do love her. And I said, okay, is it a loving thing to keep her in a relationship with someone who isn't fully committed to her, who isn't all in, who doesn't cherish her 100% of the time? Is that really a loving thing to do? So honorable, compassionate, loving. The other thing I talk about generally is like, okay, it is going to take the very definition of courage. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. You are afraid and you do it anyway. You can't have courage without fear. Otherwise, it's just like walking out to your mailbox. There's no fear involved and there's no courage. And it's our ability to override that fear, to enter into the tension of doing the thing, breaking up, knowing that it's the most honorable, compassionate, and loving thing that you can do for someone, rather than keeping them in a relationship where you're constantly having to kind of fake it. It's not loving to you, it's not honorable to you, it's not compassionate to you, and it's not loving, compassionate, and honorable to her either. But easier said than done.
Of course. Did you guys ever experience this? And I experienced this when I was quite young. And there was a conversation about breaking up. And I felt this huge void of emptiness, abandonment happening. Even though I wanted to break up with her, I was like, no. Something flipped, and I was like, no, we can make it work. Or it was just the knowing or the feeling of just being abandoned, the emptiness was making me do the opposite. And I was thinking, what are you doing, Faisal? What are you saying? You're just saying things to get the approval, just to make her happy, just try to fix the situation because you don't want to see her suffer. And yet, inside, deep, I really wanted to break up, but I'm doing the opposite. So I'm going my heart's going one way, my head's going one way. I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Please
Well,
tell
I
me
think
I'm not the
it's
only one.
well, I think it's why it's such a difficult thing to do, and why I said it easier said than done, because you're really dealing with some very, very primal impulses. Okay, for one is, she is a sexual resource. All right, so your primal brain is thinking, well, if I break up with her, then my ability to extend my DNA into future generation goes away as well. We are also, always says, we're not the strongest. We can't fly. We can't hold our breath very well. There's all these things that we can't do to survive. The thing that we can do, and what has kept us in survival, is being in group and being in relationship with others. So, like, breaking up, I think, is literally as close to death as actual dying, because it is a death of the relationship. And so the instinct for us to stay alive, I mean, it would be like standing on the edge of a cliff and telling yourself you were going to jump. You know, your brain would be screaming at you. I mean, I like, or for example, like you probably have done this where you've been on maybe a bridge or a high platform and you're going to jump into some water. You know it's safe, but your brain is screaming at you, don't do it, and you have to override and just make
Yeah,
that
but
leap.
surely it's easier than breaking up.
Right. Yeah, I guess
I've
I'd rather jump off 20 bridges than.
Well, there was
But
there was a time I thought, I'd rather be in a car crash than to do this breakup. I was in a real bad place, and I've
yeah.
worked with clients who are in the military, and I have worked with guys who've been captains, majors, and they've gone to war. They've done some, real difficult things, and they say, Faisal, I don't know what it is. I can take a bullet. I can be shot at, but I can't do the breakup. And I'm like, okay, now what we're gonna do is look and go deeper. There's a lot of things, mummy issues that haven't been resolved. You haven't sorted out the fact that I don't want to upset mother and she's gonna be mad at me. And that's what we would all want, is her to be angry and mad at me. And then what it is, here's something else I noticed was it wasn't just a breakup, or it could be easy or clean. It's the name calling, the bad character assassination I got with the breakup. It's like, you're horrible. How dare you do this to me? And one of the things I got burnt at was, I remember my ex, she really manipulated on this. She said to me, if you leave, if you break up, I'm going to commit suicide and it's going to be your fault. How are you supposed to deal with that when you're 20 years old? You don't have that capacity. And I never told that to anyone. I just took it. I had problems in the relationship. I would have no one to talk to, no one to reason with, no support, no guidance with this. There was nobody saying, hey, Faisal, you're in a bad place. You need to do this. So I stayed hidden in this. No one knew the problems I was going through. So what I did was the opposite. You know what? I can help this if I get engaged. So I did the opposite. And I had so many guys thinking that I'm in a really bad place. I need to break up. Weekend later, I got engaged. And that's the same
So
thing I
true.
did.
So true.
And you know what? She doesn't want to commit suicide anymore because we're
Yeah.
engaged.
Yay.
But that is the worst, one of the worst scenarios, because it's such a trump card. Like if they threaten to kill themselves, if you leave them, even just the worry about that, even if the partner hasn't said it, can keep some people still in the relationship. Like just this worry that my partner's going to decompensate and fall apart.
Here's a red flag. If your partner says she's going to commit suicide if you break up with her, that might be a red flag. She might not be the person that you should be with. She might not be that stable, right? So, but I get it. Like you said, when you're 20 years old and you're younger and you don't have any of the experience and you've got nobody to talk to, it really feels like. And again, if you're used to, as a nice guy, and that's the thing as nice guys is we're used to people pleasing, making sure everybody else is happy, making sure that if she's not happy, then I'm not happy, and if she's upset, then also I'm upset, and I'm upset because she's upset with me. That becomes really confusing, and your brain is predicting all of these things happening, right? And you're thinking sort of worst case scenario anyway. So when the idea of like, okay, I'm going to break up with this person, again, I think it's kind of an unnatural act, but it's also like critical for your life. Whereas it feels like you're going to die. The truth is, on the other side of it, you're actually going to live. And you have to find that internal strength to override the fear and just blurt it out. I
So
tell
much
guys,
so.
it's going to be messy. She's going to get upset. There isn't anything you can do about it. And you're just going to have to continually remind yourself that the most loving thing, the most compassionate thing, the most honorable thing I can do, stay with this. And
Yeah.
So
And not to cave in.
not to
Another
give, yeah,
thing
that's another thing. Yeah.
it's too easily to cave in, because the guys will think, oh, I don't want that engulfment. But also, I think there was something else at play that we haven't talked about. breaking up was difficult because I didn't want to upset her get mad at me, go through the whole emotion, and feeling guilty that she'll never bounce back. That was my worry, was that she'll go in a really dark place and there'll be no recovery and it'll be my fault. But what I learned was 2 weeks after the breakup, she's on holiday with her friend to Italy, and then she said, "Oh my God, these Italian guys are amazing." I'm going, "Fuck! All that time I was worried about the breakup, and you just gone off, and it was easy." Right. The thing that was also difficult for the breakup was also what my culture would say, what people, my family would say. I was worried about the criticism, the complaints, I would say, because, as a nice guy, I portrayed this really good image of everything's good. And then to say that we've broken up, to be failure, to get it completely wrong, to be incompetent at this, that was a lot of embarrassment and shame that I wanted to avoid as well.
I have another thing that I think really keeps people stuck and not doing the breakup, which is this idea that even though I know the relationship isn't that good right now, it's this fear that there won't be a better relationship in the future.
Yes, like that's a good one.
That cannot be guaranteed to the person, that their future includes a better relationship. And so, I think this can really keep people stuck, is this fear. And so part of the way that I've tried to coach them is just, reminding them of the ways that they are leveling up as people, that their standards for their own behavior and for other people's behavior is shifting. This is going to enable them to find a better partner and develop a different kind of relationship, but that can just get lost, and people can feel like, well, what if this isn't the best thing that I could ever have? And that, and then they stay in this state of limbo and confusion, sometimes for years. And how do you break that?
Yeah, the guys end up justifying that she was the best, and they start to rationalize all her good stuff and then ignore all the red flags. This is a typical thing. I had a client who was in a abusive relationship, and he said, "Well, she is also amazing. She also is very empathetic. She also does these amazing things." And I said, "Is she the pebble in the shoe?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, it's not going to go away. So no matter how much you try to convince yourself, because all you're doing is avoiding that pain of breaking up. So it's better to do this sooner than later, because you'll regret this and you'll never get that time back. And as you get older, you'll understand that how valuable time is. So the more I say you evolve, the more you start valuing the time is when you start wasting time on things that don't matter.
What if they say, I'm already getting old. It's too late to have a better relationship. It's too late to find someone.
Yeah, well,
that's a limiting belief, but yeah.
It's a limiting belief. I went on a cruise, right? So I went on this cruise years ago, and everybody was like in the 60s and 70s, and everybody says, "Why are you going on a cruise?" I'm like, "I have never done it before." And I met this guy. He was, I think, nearly 200 years old. Okay, so this is pretty old. And he says that he spends most of his life on cruises. And he says, it's the best. He said, "This is the way I want to die, because I meet some amazing, wonderful people." And he had such a positive attitude. And he says, there's always time to do a lot of things. There's always time to start something, discover something. And it was that attitude that gave him a zest for life. So don't give me that.
Well, our brain will come up with any kind of excuse to keep us out of pain. So I'm too old. I'll never find somebody else. I'll hurt her. All these kind of things. And the reality is that you will find somebody else if that's what you want, but hopefully you'll find somebody that's healthier. Another thing that I've seen nice guys do, myself included, is that when we're in a bad relationship, we often get passive aggressive in the way that we act out. Okay. We will This is where guys have affairs, they see escorts, they look at porn. It's all an attempt for the unconscious to do the work for them. Because if you get found out, guess what's going to happen? She is going to break up with you, you know? And so it's almost, and I don't think it's a conscious thing that we do, but I think an unconscious thing, because we know we're in this bad relationship, is we start compromising and seeking something outside of it. And then what ends up happening is we actually hurt her worse than we would have if we would have broken up with her. So I feel like, you know, if you're in a situation where you feel like you're tempted to act out, you know, seek prostitute or have an affair or something along those lines, that's a pretty good indication that there's really something wrong with your relationship, and either address it, fix it, or get out, because otherwise you're just going to hurt everybody involved. Well, guys, thanks again for joining us on the Nice Guys Show. It's been a pleasure. Check out episode number 49, rather. It's She's Pissed, She's Angry.
Not 69.
Not 69. Sorry. That's another show. Yeah, She's Pissed. What do you do when she's angry and upset with you? So check out episode number 49. If you like this episode, do us a favor. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. In fact, subscribe. Hit the button right now where you're thinking about it and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Go to theniceguyshow.com. Put your name in there so we have your contact information, and we can send you an email at some point when we decide we've got something to say. Also, comment. If you comment and ask questions and stuff, we'll try to address those things on our conversations here. So thanks again, and be blessed, and we'll see you next time on the Nice Guy Show.